Finding our own identity is always the hardest part in life, and we have all been there trying to find our place in the world or society. On this episode, we got to sit and talk with Ernest Loh what his journey was like being an aspiring actor. Starting from the small island of Labuan to the big city of Kuala Lumpur, and it all started off as a freelance designer to designing his own lifestyle like a rock star. Hi, this is Bryler, and welcome to another episode of Cultivating the Masses. This podcast is a collaboration between CultureTalent and Renegade Radio. Let's get to it. Good evening, Ernest Loh.
What up, Brian?
Yeah, what's good?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Good.
How are you?
I was good on a Tuesday evening.
We all know you as this guy who is a creator, right? Who is a creator and also an actor. And you can do basically a lot of stuff, man.
Working
a lot of stuff. Before we invited you to this podcast, right, we noticed that you're also a big fan of The Rock.
I am a big fan of DJ.
Right. So if you were to meet The Rock right in front of your face right now, what would you say, dude?
Man, right now, the one thing that I would say to him is just a simple thank you, man. I don't have a lot of things to say to him. I've been paying attention to him from a distance. The one big takeaway from The Rock that I've always carried with me since I started following his stuff is work ethic, man. His work ethic, and there's this very relentless grind about it. And it's not even. I think he probably knows this, but he doesn't say it on camera. I wouldn't say that The Rock is like one of those Oscar-winning actors,
right.
But this is the genius behind being a super producer and actor, understanding himself, where to position, how to position himself, and on that level, he is a very bankable actor in that sense. If there are actors that I want to follow for like great Emmy-winning drama actors, there's gonna be other characters and other faces for that. But The Rock for me is this relentless work ethic that he puts out. That is and that has how do you say inspired me a lot along the way. And for now, all I want to say to him right now is just a simple thank you. Yeah.
All right. Looking at the way it is, I mean, you're a pretty muscular guy yourself, right? Was that inspired by The Rock?
Seasonal. No.
What do you mean seasonal, dude?
Dude, like having the gains is totally seasonal, man. No, it is that journey wasn't inspired from The Rock. That journey started way before. That is like I just did not want to be a skinny teenager.
Right.
That's period, end of story.
I mean, can you share with us why did you decided to like? I mean, you didn't want to be a skinny teenager and so on. Like, what was the thought process like?
Very classic teenage answers, right? High school, early high school, you got shit to impress, shit to prove, trying to get attention from the opposite sex,
right,
and all that, and also it's this high school was also a time where I've not figured out myself time, and I didn't have the self-esteem and like the confidence that you have much later in life, and therefore I just didn't want to be skinny. When you look in the mirror, like, wow, I'm close to skinny. Like back then, like hip hop and R&B in the early 2000s was pretty popping, and that's the music I relate to. And sometimes you watch like 50 Cent or like Nelly or whatever, and they're like in their music videos on MTV on television, right? They got like really baggy clothes and shit. So when I put on baggy clothes, why do I don't look as good as like these other like I don't know. So that was like a silly childhood brain thingy, and therefore the goal was not to be skinny, and it's just that. Then it just took on a life on its own much later on.
Right. From what we're seeing on your social media, right?
Yes.
We see this very charismatic guy, very well-toned body. We see this very confident guy. I just want to know, you mentioned something about you were not as confident as you are right now back in high school. Share with us, man, about that.
Well, let me start with a headliner. I think the courage to overcome builds confidence. So I think anybody that is winning on a high level, they've got shit to overcome, and that shit to overcome is like muscle for the brain. And that's how you grow yourself personally first, and then professional growth would follow. Hang on, what's the question again?
I mean, on social media, you were
This guy.
yeah, you're
That-
this guy who is like
this guy.
yeah, this guy. I like to use this guy
This
because it's
guy.
the shit. You
Who's
know what I
this
mean?
guy,
Yeah.
man?
No, I mean you're the masculine, the confident, the charismatic, the confident guy in general, right? So you mentioned earlier that on your high school you
Yeah.
weren't as confident, weren't as charismatic, and so on. So yeah, I just wanted you to share more on that.
so
What were you
here's-
like in high school?
Here's the weird thing. I've always seen myself as like the guy, even in high school. As much as I don't believe it yet, but in the back of my mind, I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
And I find myself the most confident when I am comfortable with people, and I find myself the most charismatic when I'm like back home goofing around with like my mom, dad, and my younger brother at home, and that's when I feel my personality shine. What a way to say it, man. But
It's okay,
whenever
dude.
whenever there's like a hot chick or a chick that I deem like a 7 and above in high school, it switches off, man. It's the worst, dude. I'm sure you
Right,
any
right.
self-respecting straight
Right,
dude would like feel it too, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So like that did not work out. And also I didn't have that, and when I got into my 20s, that's something that I really want to develop. And
Alright.
along the way, long story short, like I said earlier, you work on your personal first, attitude and approach, and then professional growth follows.
Yep. That's amazing, man. Earlier, right after we spoke about The Rock, right, you did mention as well about there are some other actors that you look up to apart from The Rock, from the whole fundamentals of it, right? You did mention that if we're talking about Grammy Awards, Oscar, and all of that, which actor inspires you the most apart from The Rock?
Wow. First of all, on this Tuesday, 2019 on August, we're having conversations about Emmys and Oscars. I don't know how I
Right.
feel about this, man. It's definitely there, but like it's way back.
Right.
Okay, well, since you ask, I do have this conversation in my head every now and then. Other actors that really inspire me. Well, let's see. Ryan Reynolds. Just his career over time.
I see where you get your sense of humor
James
now.
McAvoy. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Even on movies that he didn't enjoy it, I like it.
Ryan Reynolds?
Like he always shits on Green Lantern, but I'm like, but I like the small little bits and comedies in Green Lantern, man. Like, okay,
Right, right.
fine, the CGI is cheesy and the suit's cheesy and all that. But I guess in my younger brain, before I started paying attention to film and acting, you like the show. And then once you get into like film and production and acting, you pick apart every single movie you watch. But nonetheless, I still like his career growth and what he does, and I think he's there's a very distinct character when he plays a character, and that's pretty cool.
Right.
Other actors, man, James McAvoy. I think he's got very strong acting muscles.
He definitely does, yeah.
Yeah, man. Who else am I supposed to name drop?
Tom Hardy, maybe?
Yes.
Yep.
Tom Hardy.
I can see that you're that kind of guy.
I am that kind of guy. I'm like that guy. I'm that guy.
I mean, you've always wanted to be the guy, right?
Yeah, but I've not said it out loud. It's just the conversation you have in your
Right,
head when you look
right.
yourself in the mirror. Who do you want to be, Ernest?
That guy.
Ooh, God damn, dude. Pound it.
Found that, yeah. I mean, I have that conversation with myself from time to time too, dude. You know,
I get it, man.
I mean,
We
I
all
might
have
be,
to, dude. We all
I might
have
be
to.
skinny fat, but sometimes I look in the mirror, I'm like, yeah.
That is how, that is some positive self-thought you gotta propagate to the world, man. That's sick. That's dope.
Right. Cool.
Viggo Mortensen. I think I didn't even recognize him when he came out in Green Book. From what he did in Lord of the Rings. Will Smith.
Right.
Will Smith. I particularly like actors who have a transition period from a different media to another media and do it well and dominate and really look like they're having fun along the way, because that's what it's all about. You're having fun along the way, man.
Yep. That's great, dude. Growing up, did you always knew that you were going to choose this path of acting?
Hell no. Man.
What was it initially, dude?
Initially?
Yeah.
Okay, I actually have a story for this. Growing up, the conversation of being an actor was never really in my head, because I grew up in a small town and
Labuan, right?
Labuan, yes. It is an island off the west coast of Sabah on the South China Sea. Made it sound more exotic.
Yeah, that's great, dude.
No, my first ever ambition that I really wanna like really pursue, and I really immerse myself into it, is a spy and a secret agent. And this was coming right off Mission Impossible 2, where Ethan Hunt was climbing the side scale of a mountain, and then he flips this one side and still grips the other, and then that. And Pierce Brosnan's 007, Tomorrow Never Dies. So from those two very cool ass styles of cinema that I like to watch, well, you wanna be what you can see. So in my small town brain, having to consume content like that, I'm like, wow, this is cool. I want to do that shit. So so I told my mom, and she. A long story short, she discouraged the idea because we have an uncle that's a policeman. Every time you have to sleep with a gun under the pillow, you never have a family. You always be watching after your back. So in my naive young brain, I'm like, okay, that's not a viable career for me. So I'm gonna scratch that. And that is something that I used to put switchblades in my socks.
Are you serious?
Or going to a room where are the exits, and my mom would send me to a public library after Sunday school. So Sunday brunch time, I have to go to the library and report back to her what books you read, and it's usually detective books, CSI books, or secret agent books. Then you read the names of the famous spies and whatnot. And that's how I immerse into something if I really want to pursue that. So first one, that's out of the way, secret agent, and after that I'm like, fuck, now I have nothing to pursue. What else should I want to be? And then and along the way, Dexter's Laboratory came out. I love Dexter's Laboratory, man. And when I finish the story, I'll connect the dots for you. So let me
definitely go ahead, dude.
Dexter's Laboratory first. Dexter's Laboratory is tech, and it's gadget, and it's plotting world domination, and it's pushing a book on the shelf, and then there's this underground place it goes inside with screens everywhere, and that shit was dope.
Right.
And I wanted that. And also Didi. I've always asked my mom for a sister. I think it's because of Didi. I think that's how the seed was planted. My mom said, no, I can't make any more babies. Shit. No babies, no sisters.
So that was one obstacle?
It's one obstacle, man. I cannot overcome. Shit. The first one was spy stuff, like shooting rockets and missiles from the cars. Right, and then Dexter's Laboratory is similar vibe
stuff
to it, so it's science. So I told my mom I really want to be a scientist, and then I've always loved science, but also another limiting belief that I had at the time was I'm not good at math. I can't be a scientist. So long story short, I nixed that, and now what is the next thing going forward? I really wanted to be a computer game designer. That's how I convinced my parents to get me a new computer, because I love gaming as a kid. PS1, Final Fantasy, all this amazing views and landscapes. So I would sketch them in school, and when I'm back home, I would invent these games and draw these characters and whatnot. And then That didn't pan out. That really didn't pan out because I didn't believe that would be a big career. So now I'm 16, 17. 16, 17, I gotta figure this shit out because I feel like I'm compelled to figure this shit out. What kind of career is gonna get me like good paper, involved in creative work? I love that, and not sitting in the office and desk every day and just doing mundane, boring, routine stuff. Like I've always wanted to do, I don't know. Cool is always the underlay of whatever I want to pick, whether I say it to myself or not, but subconsciously cool is always the underlay of it. And so I decided on that I wanted to be an interior designer. Get to do creative shit, get to go out, meet clients, and I think that's also a money-making career. I fell out of love from doing interior design about like second year into my first job. That's the short story. So now let me like connect the timeline.
Right.
Secret agent, gadgets, traveling around the world, jet setting stuff, firing like explosions in slow motions and all that.
Right.
That's the one. Second one, scientist, also tech. Screens, plot world domination,
Right.
Annoying sister, whatever, and then interior designer. Interior design because I think picking materials, it's also science. Learning interior architecture is also science, and you have creative room to play and have and create something. I've always gravitated towards that, and hence those were my childhood and late high school ambition that I really want to be. And interior design was that. I think I figured it out at 18. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna work in a company for 3 years, and then come out to like freelance for another 2 years, build all the contacts, and be super balling at 28 and 29. That was the entire late high school, early college game plan. It did not work out like that. I feel like I just goddamn started, man. Shit. But that's the fun part because I figured it out at 28, 29, not like fucking 59, 69.
Yeah, exactly. You've done a lot of work in front of the camera, right?
Yes.
Which one was your biggest project?
Okay, well, I'm going to define it two ways. One, big as in like the production value big. For production value big, I guess it would be being on a set of Crazy Rich Asians and this another movie that's a Chinese movie, but it's a Hollywood production team, and they were shooting for 3.5 months in Pinewood Studios, Johor, and that's Tianho. That is not that is like big in terms of like production budget because that's like a 50M above kind of budget.
Goddamn.
But biggest for me is like the lowest ever getting paid for a commercial job.
Right.
I'm not even gonna get into how much that was because that was silly, man.
It's okay, dude. You learn.
That was my Ooh, I just banged the mic.
Yeah.
The sun guy just like lifted up his head. That was me playing the Abang character in Tune Protect commercial.
Which one is this, dude?
Dude, that's the one where I played like a complete hillbilly, man. That was the biggest for me, man.
Asian hillbilly.
Yeah. That was I shot that in August of 2016. Also the second time I ever shoot any commercial like ever, period. And that was like to my heart of hearts, my favorite all-time commercial so far to date. There are many other commercials along the way that I got better. I can perform this. I got better. I can do that. I got better. I can different like production value and different bigger teams and fancier stuff. But something that resonated most to me is that commercial. That is like the OG of what I feel like I did.
Yeah, so anyone who's interested to watch that video, you can definitely check it out. I think it's on YouTube. Is it on YouTube?
It is on YouTube. Yeah. You just gotta type Abang Tune Protect.
All right, there you go, listeners.
Scroll, you'll see my face.
Yeah, you'll see Ernest there. All right. I do have a question though. This is something that is coming from me personally, right?
Sure, Bryler.
Yeah.
Bra, tipper.
In the future, now that we know that you make some sort of a solid stand on acting as well, do you look at yourself sticking to that career in the near future, or do you see yourself doing something else from that? It doesn't have to be entirely completely different. It can be somewhere in the line, but is there anything different?
So the way I see different areas of my life that I'm working on, and over time I built that clarity, and with that you have focus to decline jobs and to accept jobs and to do jobs for free or to do jobs and negotiate a certain way. I would say acting is currently my fried chicken to my KFC, and I am still developing that fried chicken. So I want that to be like the number one pillar that I want to build, and perhaps it's producing or like working on brand campaigns or working on other creative projects in that same field. Before KFC is KFC today, they worked on their fried chicken. Before they would sell like fries, floats, shakes, burgers, and wedges and all that. You gotta know yourself enough to know what your fried chicken is.
Yeah. A lot of people out there that wants to be an actor as well. A lot of people want to explore that industry, right? Knowing that you do have that experience, right? What would be that one thing that you wouldn't want any newcomers to go through?
Full disclaimer: I wouldn't say I am high up in the full disclaimer: I wouldn't say I'm high enough on the floor to send the elevator back down to give advice from a very knowledgeable standpoint, but I always love to share what I know to my peers, to my friends who are also trying to do the same thing. You gotta take classes because having the experience is, I feel like me doing the work in front of the camera, which is mostly commercial work, it does not immediately transfer or translate into being able to act. That is a myth. That I think it is unrealistic. Even if you got it like that, you have a great persona and character, and you go to the set, and then it's like 24 people crew around, and there's so many variables going on, and you're about to act, and even if you're the most charismatic people, sometimes I see that if you're about to like lift up a cup to drink and deliver a line, you'll see like the palms so sweaty and like everything is shaking and all that, and you cannot deliver because you've not built that that kind of experience enough to be on set. You haven't honed in on your technique, and there's so much more variables going on, especially film acting. Especially film acting. And for me personally, my best investment in 2019 was enrolling in acting classes. I guess I should have. I've always felt that I want to act, but when I look around what I do, there's not enough actionable steps for that I have taken to be a good actor, to work on my craft, to how do you receive a script that is like either half written or not necessarily like the best writing, and how do you turn that black and white piece of script that you're given into a colorful character that you have to deliver on camera. That's an entire skill set, that's an entire craft and talent, and I think the best of the best have their own approach, have their own way of zoning in. If you sometimes, when you deliver a line, you're just completely out of your body, and when you watch back the playback, you can tell that it's not believable, as you know. So so for me, taking the actionable steps to become a better actor is enrolling myself in acting classes. And it's still a work in progress. So right now it's just getting good scene work done with my classmates, and building a acting reel, and then paying attention to all the shows that I wanna be in, whether it's Netflix or iFlix or local productions or Hollywood productions. Just pay attention. Know which producers are producing what, which studio is producing what, why actors get on board, why actors get fired, why and just understanding and immersing yourself in the game, because that along the way you will develop the right language and the right experience to speak to these people. When you finally get an opportunity to have a seat on the big leagues, you want to be prepared. So you know, they say luck, opportunity means preparation. So right now I'm putting the actionable steps for that.
Yeah. A lot of people tend to think like, you know, you can have the skills, you can have the talent, if you might say it that way. But if you don't sharpen your talent, you wouldn't go anywhere as well, right? So I like this word, hustle beats talent if talent doesn't hustle. Right? Have you heard of that?
Of course, man.
Right?
Yes.
So that is something that I'm getting from you as well, right? Okay. You and I both came from a very small city, right? I'm from Kuching. You're from Labuan.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to move
Kuching
here?
is not small, by the way.
I mean,
Kuching is not small. Have you guys seen the landmass of like Sarawak, guys? Sarawak is like half of Borneo, man. Yo.
No, we're talking about Kuching, right? We're not talking about Sarawak.
An island, and a small island, bro. It's like the quarter the size of Penang. Okay, I was born in Penang, by the way. I grew up on another island.
Okay.
Island boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
but
your question,
we're talking about Kuching itself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we both come from a very small community. The community, the mindset usually revolves around themselves. They don't really take in what's outside. They just conversate among themselves, right? What made you decide to move to the city and decide to pursue this passion of yours?
Moving to the city and pursuing the passion, I would say they are two completely different things. Yeah, moving to the city is just because I guess every 16-year-old kid out there who grew up in a small town and watched too much mainstream media like MTV and MTV Cribs and whatever, you just want to move to the city when you reach your late
Where
teens.
the life
That's
is.
like the cliche classic answer. True story, guys. What's the second question? Oh, to pursue this
passion,
Yeah. The short answer is we're all just trying to make it in life, man. And career means... I didn't grow up from a well-to-do family, so like the conversation of career and building like the best version of yourself is a daily active thing that runs in my head like a treadmill. So that is a built-in feature since I was a kid. I've always felt like the underdog, man. So yeah, want to do something, and you're figuring out along the way. It's part of life's journey.
Yep. Speaking of acting, do you have any favorite voice actor? Do you do voice acting as well?
No, I've never done voice acting. I've done voiceovers for some projects. Best voiceovers. I like Robbie Williams's R.I.P. that cool dude. I like his voiceovers, and generally just most Disney movie intro opening scene voiceover telling a story, you know, like there could be a Harry Potter-ish kind of movie, but like there's always this cinematic voice that comes over. Oh, one more, man, the voice of God, dude. Voice of God.
Yeah.
Morgan.
Morgan Freeman.
Boom. Yeah, man.
From your experience as an actor,
Yeah.
I think you have been in the industry for about how many years already?
I would I've never had the audacity to call myself an actor up until recent months, to be completely frank with you. And before that was like a weird identity crisis thing. But prior to wanting to be an actor, most of my in front of camera works were commercial acting and commercial talent, being a commercial talent.
All right. Yeah. I also know you as from what I'm seeing on your social media, your website, and everything about you, from what I'm seeing is that you look like the kind of guy that is constantly on the work, right? You're constantly pushing through, and I noticed that on your website that you mentioned that you try to utilize your 24 hours a day, right? And I just want to know, behind your head right now, right? Why do you think you are different? What did you do differently from others that sets the gap?
I think what I do that I in my own merit I'd say well is have the conversation with yourself to figure out who you are. And I try to do that at least once a year, twice a year. Whether it's taking a trip down memory lane from when you were a kid up until now, because your thoughts affect your action, and that led you to like who you are leads to who you are today is completely predicated. Where you are today is completely predicated on who you are. So having that conversation with yourself, figuring out who you are, and once you have that answer, and it's still a constantly changing answer, that allows you to put in the work to execute on the ideas. And once you have that clarity and focus, it's easier. Is like I said, it's easier to navigate certain hard decisions in life, because at the end of the day, because there's so much noise around, figuring out who you are really paves the way forward. Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs, had a very good quote. You will, if you connect the dot backwards, you will find a pattern. I'm totally paraphrasing because I forgot what his exact words were. You cannot connect the dots going forward, but you can connect the dots looking backward. And when you do that, you'll somehow find there is a pattern in your life that you follow. And when you try to figure that out of who you are, and and you can apply that to what you want to do, I think amazing things can happen.
Okay, just before we end this wonderful podcast with Ernest Loh, we do have 2 more questions to go with.
Shoot.
Yeah, we're already running out of time, man. I really enjoyed this episode, to be
Likewise,
honest.
buddy,
Yeah.
brother. Bring it in, man.
Bring it in, bro.
Yes.
Okay, let's say that somebody is stuck right now.
Yeah.
They don't know which direction to go in life. What can someone do today in order to get themselves right?
Really pay attention to how you talk to yourself. Really pay attention to how you talk to yourself. Really figure out yourself. Take a trip down memory lane in your mind. And build a community or a tribe of people around you who want the same things that you do. I guess those are simple, actionable steps.
Yeah, that's what we're all about, Culture Talent. It's about
Exactly.
building that community.
Exactly.
Before we end this episode, where can people find out more about you?
At Ernest Loh with the H _. No, with the H, no, I mean Ernest Loh, LOH _.
All right. Only on Instagram or?
Come
on, you do have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, well, I exist on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter, but I don't use those platforms as often. I have a YouTube channel, but my YouTube channel, it's not an area of focus that I wanna build right now. So I have it. It's for whenever I have a huge project that I want to put out, I'll put it out there. I do have a YouTube channel, and if you want to check it out, I do have some stuff there for you to check out. It's pretty cool too. It's called Ernest Loh. Just that. Just Google Ernest Loh on YouTube, and you'll find my face there.
All right, that's it for this episode, everyone. We have the talented, the charismatic guy, Ernest Loh. Thank you so much today for your time, man. It's definitely an honor to have you on board. Just talking about how your career jump-started, what did triggered it, and how you actually internalize a lot of things on your own. So yeah, thank you for sharing, man.
Brother, the pleasure and honor is mine, and I'm deeply humbled that you would have me on this podcast.
Yep.
Appreciate it, and I enjoy myself. Thank you, buddy.
You're most welcome.
Alrighty.
It is always crucial to understand yourself better if you want to achieve your desired life, and that is exactly what Ernest shared with us today. I hope you gain tons of value from this podcast, and if you like this show, it will help us a lot if you share it with your friends and close ones. A big thank you to Ernest for spending some quality time with us. This was a collaboration between CultureTalent and Renegade Radio. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and wherever you get your podcast from. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.